In the Asadivar, there is comment on Islamic beliefs and practices. The Semitic scriptures are referred to as Kate. The Musalman praise the Shariat above all else. They study it and reflect on it. They believe that the servant of God accepts the bonds of the Shariat to have a sight of God in paradise. In their belief, the non-believers were destined to suffer the torments of hell, but only God knows what will happen to human beings after death. The Muslim claim to an exclusive possession of the truth has no justification. Guru Nanak refers to the various categories of religious persons among Muslims. Apart from the prophets, there are pirs and shaykhs and qadsis and mullahs, shaliks, shadiks and shahids, and there are darvishes at God's door. For abundance of his blessings, they recite special prayers. However, God does not consult anyone when he creates or destroys, when he gives or takes away. His power is known only to him, and he does what he likes. He watches everyone and bestows his grace on anyone he likes. His hukam cannot be measured, and no one can describe it. Even 100 poets coming together cannot describe a small part of his power. They can only cry in despair. Allah is unfathomable and limitless, the true patron whose name is pure and whose abode is pure. The implication is that Muslims may claim to know Allah and His true worship, but Allah, even of their scripture, is inscrutable and His will cannot be anticipated. Guru Nanak advises Musalmans to recite the name of Khuda with inner faith and not for the sake of appearance. This advice is preceded by the statement that a cloth soiled by blood is regarded as impure. Pallid. How can the heart of a person who drinks human blood be pure, nirmal? He who regards mercy as the mosque, sincerity of faith as the prayer mat, honest earning as the Quran, modesty as the circumcision, and God will as the fast is a real Muslim. Good conduct is his pilgrimage, truth his pir, and compassion his kalma and namas. What pleases God in his rosary. Such a Muslim receives honor from God. The importance of honest living and action is emphasized in similar terms. What belongs to others should be regarded as pork by a Muslim. Even the pir will intercede only on behalf of that Muslim who does not eat dishonestly earned food. Not by mere profession, but by true actions can he go to heaven. Unlawful food does not become lawful if spice is added to it. Falsehood begets only falsehood. The first of the 5 daily prayers should be truth, the second, what is lawful, and the third, goodwill for all. Right intention should be the 4th prayer, and the 5th should be the praises of God. Only he can be called Musalman, whose kalma is good conduct. In one verse there is a suggestion that Guru Nanak appreciates the ways of the Sufis more than those of the ulama. It is not easy to be a Muslim. One should be called so if one is a real Muslim. First of all, he should adopt the path of the awliya and remove all impurities to clear the mirror of his heart. He should submit to the guide so as to obliterate the difference between life and death. He should accept the will of God and lose all sense of self. He should be compassionate towards all human beings. Only then can he be called a Muslim. Some of the basic values of the Sufis are brought into focus here. However, Guru Nanak's appreciation for the Sufis was not unqualified. There were certain practices of the Sufis which he did not appreciate. One of these was their general acceptance of patronage from the state in the form of revenue-free lands. Guru Nanak says that the name is his summer harvest. His winter harvest is the true name. He has received this Granth, Mahdut, from the door of the Lord. There are numerous doors in the world, and there are innumerable beggars who beg thereat. The shaykhs do not beg at God's door, they look to the state for patronage. This statement is preceded by a strong denunciation of the practice of the Sufi shaykhs to bestow cups, kulha, upon their disciples by way of authorization to guide others. This, in Guru Nanak's eyes, is presumptuous. Only God knows whether or not one is acceptable in his court. The Shaykh presumes that he is, furthermore, he thinks that he can enable others to find the goal who can guide still others. The Shaykh is compared to a rat which is too fat to enter the hole and yet attaches a winnowing basket to its tail. All those who all those who give and receive such blessings lose honor. In his comments on contemporary Islam, Guru Nanak defines Mullah, an epithet of Allah, as the master who created the world with all that flourishes in it. The Mullah should be afraid of his power. The Mullah and the Qadsi should recognize God. Their learning will not save them from death. The real Qadsi discards self and makes the name his sole refuge. The true Creator is there now and shall be there when all else has perished. The learned Mussulman performs 5 daily prayers and reads the Quran and other books. When the call comes from the grave, all is left behind. The practices of the ulama do not earn any merit for the life hereafter. The representatives of all the 3 traditions follow the path of ruin. The Brahman bathes and kills living beings. Only he is a real Brahman who meditates on God, liberates himself, and leads others to liberation. The yogi is blind to the real skill. Only he is a real yogi who realizes that he needs the Guru's grace to recognize the one. The Qadsi speaks falsehood and eats dirt. Only he is a real Qadsi who turns his back on Maya, and through the Guru's grace becomes dead while alive. Implicit in this critique is the invitation to the Brahman, the yogi and the Qadsi to follow the path adopted by Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak was familiar with the tradition of Guru and Chela in all the 3 traditions. He has a telling comment to make on this tradition. The disciples whose Guru is blind can find no place. Without the true Guru, one cannot find Nam. And without Nam, one cannot have the taste of liberation. The Shads and Sants whom Guru Nanak appreciates have to be carefully identified. Guru Amar Das states that the real Darveshes are rare. To beg from door to door is a blot on the garb of a Darvesh, and his life is a curse. To discard hope and fear by turning to the Guru is the means to receive the alms of the name. Guru Amar Das addresses the Shaykh and asks him to discard the pride of power and to entertain the fear of God. He should pierce his hard heart with the arrow of the Shabbat, so that peace is lodged in his heart. He should act with peace in his mind to find a place with the Master. The Shaykh wanders in all the 4 directions. He should concentrate his mind on the one. He should forget here and there and recognize the Shabbat of the Guru. Prostrate before the true Guru who is the knower of everything. Burn all hope and fear and live like a guest in this world. He should walk in accordance with the true Guru's will so that he may receive honor in the divine court. Not to remember the name is to remain accursed in what one hears and what one eats. Evidently, Guru Amar Das invites the representatives of Islam to follow the Guru's path. Guru Arjan's compositions reflect his familiarity with Islam. He uses the epithets Allah, Khuda, Maula, and Khalik for God who is merciful, Rahim, compassionate, Karim, and kind, Miharban. Guru Arjan refers to the Quran and the other Semitic books, Kateb, Azrael as the angel of death, paradise, prophets and peers, mullahs and shaykhs, fakirs and darvishes, the Qadsi and the Haji, the Shariat and Tariqat, Marifat and Hakikat, the call to prayer, the water pot and the prayer mat, the mosque and the daily prayers, Bandagi and the Wasifa, the rosary and the fast, and the true ideals of Islam, like God's praises, contentment, moderation, and goodwill. The Islamic tradition will pass away with all its peers, Paigambars and Awliya, its Kateb, its Qasis and Mashayikh, its fast and calls to prayer, like everything else. Only Khuda and his true devotee Banda will survive. Guru Arjan refers to some of the distinct features of people called Turk and Hindu, Khuda, Allah, Karim, and Rahim, Hajj, Nemes, Kateb, blue clothes, and Bihisht represent the beliefs and practices of the Turk. Ram, Gusaya, Karan, and Kirpadar, Tirat, Puja, Veda, white clothes, and Swar symbolize the beliefs and practices of the Hindu, who thus gets equated with the upholder of the Brahmanical tradition. Guru Arjan goes on to add that only those who recognize God's hukam may recognize God. On the whole, there is much in the society and polity of the times that is denounced by Guru Nanak and his successors. They have no appreciation for any of the contemporary systems of religious beliefs and practices. Significantly, Guru Arjan does not equate his heritage with Hinduism or Islam, nor does he identify himself with Hindus or Muslims, just as they represent distinct traditions of all religious beliefs and practices. Guru Arjan and his followers have their own distinct beliefs and practices. We are neither Hindu nor Muslim. What was implicit in the compositions of Guru Nanak and his successor is made explicit. The contemporary social order had lost its legitimacy. It was in need of utter regeneration through a new spiritual and moral message. Guru Nanak and his successors provided the basis for regeneration, and its result was the emergence of a new social order in the form of the Sikh Panth.